One of the signature dives, just to finish off the trip. So hopefully you enjoy it as much as we do. We're at a wonderful dive site called Lea Leas Lookout. Now the reason it's called Lea Leas Lookout is, once upon a time, the island was, one of its main exports were coconuts. So they used to transport coconuts and tools, etc. around the island using donkeys. And there was a cheeky little donkey called Lily who used to live on Little Cayman. And she was a bit naughty because she'd escape her pen quite often. But they'd always know where she'd be. She'd be at the shoreline here, longingly looking out to Cuba, her home country. It ended well though for Lily. She has since then retired. She's back in Cuba with the family, so she's enjoying her last years. But funny enough, actually, just to the left as you're looking at shore by Salt Rock Dock, there is a historical donkey pen. It is historical, circa 18 something. So yeah, one of the few historical buildings, structures I should say, on Little Cayman. So yeah, the donkey pen is over there. So it's quite a realistic story. It's a wonderful dive site. We're in the sheer wall section of the marine park, and this particular section, just like Randy's, the section of the wall kind of protrudes out a little bit. So because of that, it's absolutely abundant with marine life. It gets a good flush through, so it's got lots of nutrients. So yeah, it's a wonderful dive site. You're going to have Reese in the water with you on this one. So if you would like to join Reese on his little magical mystery tour, once you and your buddy are in, what I would actually do is obviously descend and start swimming towards the mooring pin a little bit. We're kind of swinging more like this now, actually. So the boat's probably over there. So just swim forwards. There's the mooring pin is actually between two rubble patches. Again, we absolutely love rubble patches, so we're looking for things like the corkscrew anemones, maybe some yellow stingrays, peacock flounder. I've seen resting nurse sharks in here before. I've seen Nassau grouper being cleaned. So there's usually a lot going on. But most importantly of all, in this corner here, there is the infamous happy sponge. It's definitely worth a visit, guys. Basically, it's a cluster of tube sponges that if you get down at eye level, it looks like a smiley face. Definitely worth a trip, I'd say, 100%. Obviously a turtle's had a munch out of the side of its mouth, but I think it just adds to it. Just that little bit. So yeah, worth a visit. And actually just to the right of the happy sponge, there is, again, we saw one on the previous dive, but a nice giant anemone. So it's always worth checking in these anemones for various little critters, so spot anemone shrimps, for example, pedersen cleaner shrimps, all that stuff. You get little decorator crabs as well that like to hide in there too. So worth checking out, the happy sponge. The whole dive we like to call the happy dive because it almost looks like a smiley face. It's lovely and abundant with marine life on the top of the wall here as well. So there's loads of different soft corals, lots of sponges. Yeah, look in the soft corals for things like the slender filefish. In the past, we have had good luck with seahorse here as well. So you never know, keep those eyes peeled. So once you've explored this rubble patch, make your way over to the next one. You'll probably notice actually on this dive, there's a few old drums within this rubble patch. So the reason being, before these more modern pin fixtures, they used to fill old drums with concrete and use those for moorings. So there's still quite a few of them down there still, but they sort of a little habitat for juvenile fish, so it's worth checking out. Check out the walls as well of these rubble patches. I've seen big tunnel clinging crabs before, all different kinds of crustaceans in there. Then what I normally do is make my way to the back of this rubble patch. There's a small coral head where I've seen southern stingrays, and just in the corner, not all the time, but quite often, there's a green moray there, so worth checking out. And then once you've done that, head over the top of the reef again, and you're going to make your way over to this first cut / swim through. So it's not technically a swim through because it is open above, but it feels quite swim through like as you're going through, and it's definitely worth doing. It's really beautiful. One thing I do want to mention, obviously being your second dive, and also the final dive of the trip, you will be flying tomorrow. Just be extra safe, extra conservative, and just be mindful as you're going through there, because if you were a little bit absent-minded, just following the bottom, it is going to bring you out quite deep, like 100 plus. So you do want to be limiting that depth to 60 as you're going through. So Reese will be leading, he'll be setting that depth, but just pay close attention to your depth gauge and dive computer on this one. Maximum 60 feet as you're going through. There is a tiny little cubby hole just on the right as you're going through. We like to call it the Zen room. Especially when the sun's shining like this, you get some really nice rays coming through. Perfect photo opportunity. It's only big enough for one person at a time, so don't cram on in there. And obviously as you're exiting the Zen room, just be mindful of through traffic. Once you've come out, that's going to bring you nicely onto the wall itself. Worth checking out this little sort of wall structure here on the right. I've seen spiny lobsters crawling on. I've seen a couple of lionfish sometimes, but worth having a little glance over here before taking that left-hand turn. So you're going to be heading with the wall on your left and the blue out on your right. It's really beautiful in this section. Loads of different soft corals and sponges. Big elephant ear sponges as well. Those really big, sort of reddy orange ones. Oh, there's a turtle over there. Beautiful. Lots of little critters, lots of different shrimps, all that good stuff. Again, we have mentioned the banded lobster previously, and I actually saw one on Donna's where you said it was going to be. But this is another one of those sites where we do have more luck seeing the red-banded lobsters. So you never know. Obviously they've got those bands, they're bright red and white bands, and the big googly eyes, that's what we're looking for. Just like Randy's, you might find there's a couple of friendly Nassau grouper on the wall itself. And you get some really nice schools of the Creole wrasse, and also the blue chromis as well. So really nice bright blue fish, they're stunning. It's a very compact dive site, so there really is no need to go fast at all. You're almost going to be within sight of the boat wherever you are, really. So nice glacial pace. Every now and again keeping your eye peeled in the blue for any pelagics that might be gliding on past, up and around for the turtles. And then just after a short while, probably depends on your rate of swimming, but no more than 10 minutes on the wall itself, you're going to come to this second cut that we're going to use as our turning point. There is obviously a section that at one point was secured and has broken away. We like to call this the pizza slice, just because of sort of the shape. It is a tad too deep, so please don't go to the depth there. It's about 65 feet. But worth a glance down, sometimes sea green morays, again, more lobsters, that kind of thing. And then you're going to turn in. A couple of options here. If you really like sort of that swim through feel, canyon feel, then what I quite like to do is just swim my way until the very end. It's really, really nice, looking in the sides of the walls as you're going, looking for those channel clinging crabs, spiny lobsters, that kind of thing. But if you're more keen on the top of the reef, then you can just shallow up a little earlier and spend a bit more time exploring the top here. As I said, it's particularly abundant with marine life. So yeah, guided tour, just like always, is going to be about 35 to 40 minutes in length. Reese will bring you to the shallows by the boat. He's going to come up a little early to give me a hand getting you guys back on. Now, unlike the previous dive, obviously we're going to have a little bit more depth below the boat this time, so you're not going to be at sort of 15 feet doing a safety stop next to a reef. So just something to be mindful of. Quick reminder, 60 feet maximum depth on this one. As I said, especially when going through those